Triple XP. Triple XP.
Welcome to Triple XP. This is episode 19. I'm Shane and this is Mike.
I'm back, baby!
He is finally back after he disappeared for such a long time. And this week we have with us Ed or Camp, depending on what you want to go by, Ed.
Depending on the era of the cabin. No matter what, it's whatever's easiest for you guys. But hello.
Edward
And
Camp as
thank
well.
you for having me back on again after that controversial previous podcast.
Oh, which hasn't aired yet.
It hasn't aired yet, yeah. No,
Oh, the
look
people
forward to
are in
that.
for a treat.
the controversy is still to come.
Yeah, exactly. The
You-
storm brews.
I'm so excited about that episode.
You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and all the other important podcast places. On this week's episode, we find out Mike's views on cyber shadow, and we discuss a very special topic that's close to our hearts. But before we get into any of that, how are you both?
All right.
Wow. Yeah, I'm
What?
doing pretty well.
What?
It's calmed down. You know, it's snowed a ton where I am, and it's made for some nice gaming time. So I've been experiencing some new games on the Xbox Game Pass, and just kind of taking it easy. Maybe getting a little bit chubbier because of the pandemic and not moving around. But hey,
Yeah, nice.
gaming life.
Some
We
people,
are-
Some people say chubbier. I say cuddlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Fact.
Snugglier.
We are expecting snow. Probably not quite as much as you. Probably just enough to lightly dust the driveway.
Ah,
But it will cause the entire country to come to a complete halt. So
Grinding hard. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. If you look outside and there's a slight chance your nose could be cold, then the whole country just shuts down. So
that's crazy.
And that's the
like,
UK.
Yeah, so in the South, that's what, like, there are pictures like in the South when it's like snowed of like people just like losing their minds and like cars on fire because there's a dusting and they don't know how to like drive in the snow whatsoever. But in the North, we just got like 2 feet and people are still going to school and like businesses are still open and everything. Like everyone just sort of deals with it around here.
yeah, we don't deal with snow very well in the
No.
UK.
We do like a lot of tutting.
Yeah, a lot of tutting and immediately going onto the websites or the radio to find out if your kid's school's shut, even though there is barely enough snow to cover your garden.
Wow.
That would be the first thing. Is like, oh, is the school shut though?
Yeah,
Not that they're
I remember
not they're
that.
open at the moment anyway. But yeah,
Like for my
Yeah,
school,
when-
because it was
oh,
such
man.
a poor area, it was like the boiler was always broken as soon as it went cold. So
yeah,
they couldn't legally open the school.
yeah. We had our school was on a hill, so the minute it snowed at all, it was like, well, the buses can't get up the hill. Guess we're gonna have to close.
Wow. You are going to be a perfect grandpa when you can like tell that story. Oh, my school was on a hill and we had to walk up the hill when it was snowing and none of us we just all slide down.
Exactly.
No.
Like they won't know what they have to go through.
I mean, we're all going to be like, we had to actually go to school, not sit in front of a laptop like you.
Yep. Not
Yeah.
plug ourselves in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what a horrible thought that is. So,
Yeah.
well, not on
Anyway.
that piece of information. Then should we move on? Should we? I'll hit our news for the week. And as always, Ed, as you're the guest, what story do you bring to our delightful ears?
And what a story it is. It's a story of triumph and longevity and just, a bounty to be had. But essentially, there's an old game by the name of Super Smash Bros. Melee that came out in 2001, I think, on the Nintendo GameCube, which is about the era where I still continue to reside in gaming, and I choose not to go anywhere else because it's scary. So I just
Fair.
play GameCube games and that's it.
Just relive your childhood every day.
Yeah, I just live in a nostalgia bubble. But basically, when you play that game, so that game still has a pretty flourishing, or a pretty, I wouldn't say flourishing, like it's not in the millions or like I maybe like 100,000 at like at in a really good day. Let's say more like 50,000. Has like that big of a fighting game community still that is thriving right now because of like a group of people's in one man's vision to put it online in really good net code during a pandemic.
What a hero.
Yeah, but essentially, like when you play like the classic or adventure mode in Melee, you get to the end, and then it has a little Star Fox 64 like shooter on rails that all the credits come and fly in at you, and you can shoot them all. I remember like growing up when that game came out, there was always rumors about like hidden characters in those games and like how to unlock them. And I definitely remember someone saying like if you 100% if you got all the credits shot, then you would unlock Toad. And or it was Toad or Sonic.
Yeah.
Was that?
One of those characters that are very not similar at all.
I always remember these crazy rumors because there was no like internet back then where you could just Google like how to do stuff. It was literally just all hearsay and like rumors from like your friends and stuff. But then it was all like the same rumor as well, like nationwide. Like we all had the same sort of rumor. It was crazy.
Yeah, you go to like the cafeteria like in lunchtime, and then like old like Jimmy like Wazowski would be sitting next to his like eating a ham sandwich that his mom bought and just be like, did you know like if you beat all of it, if you hit all the credits, then you get Sonic? And you're like, what? I need to go home and do this right now.
God damn you, Jimmy.
I need a fake sick.
God damn you, Jimmy Wazowski.
Yeah. So basically where I'm going with this is so like I think it was a couple months ago, someone basically was like, all right, it's been 20 years, like I'm putting like it was like a $3,000 bounty or $4,000 bounty on this, and saying if there's someone who without any mods, without anything, can just like get a clip of them 100%ing the credit sequence and shooting every single credit, then they'll win the money. And for months went by, and people were like, no one's ever going to do this. It's impossible. Well, Triple XP, community, and hosts, I'm here to tell you, someone did it as of yesterday.
My God.
So you can rest easy knowing that Sonic cannot be unlocked in Super Smash Bros. Melee by 100%ing the credit sequence.
That's a huge fuck you to Jimmy Wazowski.
Yeah, exactly. And Jimmy was proven to be a big old liar. And he didn't deserve that ham sandwich that his mom packed him. Maybe just, a peanut butter sandwich on old bread.
No jelly.
Yeah, no, exactly. No jelly and no milk. Just like water, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, it took something that took. It's crazy to think that there are things that in over 20-year-old games that are still being like first time ever, which is pretty cool to see.
Isn't this like a bit of a, not hugely, but there's an element of quite a few Nintendo games there where there's still secrets being discovered and like scores being beaten 20 years on or 30 years on from when the game, because wasn't there a big thing recently about, or say recently within like the last year or two, about Mario 64, and there was like some hidden stars or something that no one had ever found until like 20 years later.
Yeah, I can't remember 64, but I do remember one in Banjo. There was like I think it was a Jiggy in Banjo that was like hidden in like some tall grass, like that no one would be able to see unless you like remove the grass from the game and saw it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was like the hidden Jiggy that like no one knew about, and yeah, that was found I think like last year. But there's absolutely no way anyone could find it because it's not visually like you would never know it's there unless someone like went into the debug menu in the game and like scrubbed it
through the code.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like, but yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like sometimes just how long goes, especially with how many people play this, how long can go by without some of the stuff getting known.
I think it just goes to show like the love in a game when people like 20 years later are still pouring through it and trying to find like every little, tiny little tidbit of info and Easter egg, or just still searching for that like thing that Jimmy said that all those years ago.
Sonic is in here somewhere.
We'll find him.
So that was my news. I've got some more prolific news, but that one was the closest to me.
Yeah, I like stuff like that. I like like communities coming together and just like, especially with such an old game like that, communities still sort of pouring out content for it, and it's good to see.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the thing I was referring to, it wasn't a star. It was an article that came out last year, I think it was, that said 25 years later, Nintendo fans have finally found Luigi in Super Mario 64.
Oh wow! What?
Yeah, I'm just having a look now to just clarify what it's talking about.
Camp's already firing up Mario. Like, I must find him.
What? Luigi? Well, you can play him. I remember in the DS version, you could play as like Wario and Yoshi and Luigi.
I always said that it was Yoshi
not in the original
game,
N64 one.
I think it was in the code. It wasn't actually like in the game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I always heard that you could play, or you could find Yoshi in that game, but I never did.
Yeah.
I also heard this thing, or I seem to remember watching it on like Games Master on TV. I don't know if you had that in the States, but it was quite big in the US when it was like Sega and SNES. There was apparently, so I watched on this TV program about video games. There was in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. You could play a certain like song, like you play the notes, and then the world would just transform into like the Simpsons world, which is so like yeah, it's so like stupid and far fetched. But I seem to remember that, and I was like, it blew my mind, and I was like trying to scroll it down on paper really quick, but yeah, it didn't work. So like they just had me.
That's
had
crazy.
Me over. Yeah, it was meant to just
so
transform
good.
into the Simpsons. Maybe I just dreamed that. I don't know, but.
I swear that is mad.
I swear it was on an old episode of Games Master.
I remember a few, and I'm going to go into this game a little bit later on anyway, but I remember when Destiny 1 came out, and so 2013, and I don't know if you know that like Bungie is synonymous with the number 7, and there's like lots of little hidden things they do with number 7, and I was obsessed with the idea that the first ever raid, because there were 6 available chests, and there was so many things online in forums and in like Reddit and things about there being a hidden 7th chest, and I spent so long looking for this hidden 7th chest that didn't exist. But it might exist. It might be that it just didn't get found. But honestly, I was so obsessed with it, so obsessed with trying to find this thing that I was adamant would exist.
I mean, Bungie's classic with that. Like, I remember in Halo 1 and Halo 2 doing the same thing, like in campaigns, like trying to find all the different Easter eggs, like, because they just hide them in like corners of the map, like, and all the different skulls that you could get, and all the different like little. They just hide such random things. Like, if you like basically broke their game, then they'd like reward you.
Yeah. And that's the sort of stuff they do now with their raids, and like the sort of stuff they do. They do things like where you have to go and do like a little shooting sequence, and then like some lights will come up on the wall, which mean not a lot, but then you take them away and you put them into like a special like computer that works out the all the ones and zeros, and it spells out a word, and then that word will tell you where to go in the raid. It's just like, how are people thinking this up? How are people discovering this? What is happening? I just go in and shoot things. I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
How are you discovering all this shit? How big is your brain?
Damn.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep dwelling on this, but I do remember one. Like, did you guys ever play Shadow of Colossus?
Yeah.
I've dabbled in it. Yeah.
It was something pretty similar there, where it was like, in the regular one, there were like coins like hidden coins that you could pick up, like, and people just kept trying to figure out like, what the secret was for the coins, but no one could do it. Like it was, I'm pretty sure it was, like it was all these coins that were hidden, and you would find them in different areas, but no one could figure out what happened. Like, like if something was supposed to unlock and so basically that studio that's been remaking a lot, like they just did the Demon Souls remake. I totally forgot the name of the studio.
Blue Point.
Yeah, I think it is. Because they're the ones who did the Shadow of Colossus remake too.
I believe so. Yeah, I might be wrong though.
Yeah. So they like basically added in, like, they didn't touch any of the game. They basically just added in the, like, if you collect all the coins, then this secret unlocks.
Yeah, it was.
And you can
it was a trophy.
Get the sword. Was that?
It was a trophy, wasn't it? They added it as a trophy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then you I think you unlock a new sword if you get them all too. Like,
yeah, because there's a channel for PlayStation trophy hunting thing that I watch quite regularly when I'm in the mood to trophy hunt, and he was like the first person to discover this secret, and he live streamed it, and he had like the developers in there and stuff, all sort of like egging him on to find this like secret, and eventually he was like the first to find it, apparently.
So cool.
That's mad.
Trophies, yeah.
That is mad.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, yeah. I think it was like a 24-hour stream as well.
Crazy.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Talking about crazy things, shall we talk about our ridiculous stories, Mike? You want to kick off your one?
It's not much of a story, but just
it's more of a story than mine is. So
it's the Resident Evil Village footage got released recently. I know Campy, you're a big Resi fan, and
there's a demo as well, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, is there a demo out? Oh, cool.
Yeah, on the new PlayStation, there's a demo, but your boy still don't got that new PlayStation.
Nah, me neither.
And I've not downloaded the demo because I'm too much of a pussy.
It's not.
Shazam, come
on. So yeah, the internet, mainly Twitter, just went absolutely nuts for the tall vampire lady.
Yep.
To the point where Capcom or the developers released her actual height, which is 9 foot 6 inches, apparently, with hat and heels. So like, as I was just pouring through this story, like just trying to get a bit more about it, there's just a wealth of like hand drawn, great art, like amazing art.
Yeah. Shit, I think I saw a post that said that she was nearly 3 foot taller than Master Chief.
Yeah. There's tons of comparisons out there, and just go search vampire lady on Twitter. You won't be disappointed.
But just make sure no one else is around and you're not at work.
Yeah, I think my
have some tissues handy.
My favorite comparison that you've hit it when you find this comparison is that she is taller than 2 Danny DeVitos on top of each other.
Wow,
that was a comparison that was on Twitter.
I absolutely love that.
I think how that's how, like, that's regular metric system, right?
Yeah, that's what we use in the UK.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a filthy American who we have our own system of measurement, but I'm pretty sure in the rest of the world it's all Danny DeVitos.
No, it is. Where am I going to put that shelf? About 2.5 Danny DeVitos high?
Yeah. That's a pretty high shelf.
It's exactly how we do it. But I do love how much the Twitter and the internet have absolutely fell in love with this crazy tall vampire lady. It's the best.
Yeah, I saw them come out and say, like, they basically had to come out and just say, like, we're very happy with the reception of this lady. Like, we're very happy to see how much everyone loves this lady. Like, they're trying to spin it in a really positive way, and you're like, oh man.
Meanwhile, the internet's just like, take all biddies.
Yeah, it's like, they're spinning it really positive. No, it's just that the internet is filthy, and we all love the fact that she's really tall.
Yeah,
yep.
It is just moments like this where you just sort of like, I love the internet.
Well, talking about Twitter and the internet, that leads directly into my non-story story, which I saw today. and this has literally come out of. It's a very, very loose story that's come out of a comment that was made on Twitter. Essentially, Elon Musk made a comment about Halo, to which Aaron Greenberg, who is the general manager of marketing for Xbox, then replied to Elon Musk saying, "It feels like a Tesla Halo collab needs to happen at some point. Let's get that Warthog built." So now there's lots of stories on the internet and lots of people going mad over the idea that Elon Musk, who is 100% mental enough to do it, would team up with Xbox to build a working, running Warthog from Halo.
I mean, they made a fridge console, so why stop there?
Yeah, and I mean, if anyone saw that Tesla truck that they like put out, they basically already made the Halo 1 Warthog.
Exactly, it's basically already there. So why not go the full hog? And
yeah, it just needs a couple of roll bars and a minigun strap into the top, and we're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, just like that lady, the internet's going mad over this tiny little tweet that Elon Musk could maybe, even though he 100% has not agreed to anything, be involved in making a real Warthog.
Yep. And then I bet you he sends it to like space. And we're all just in awe.
Just because he can.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be like the new Moonlander vehicle or something. He'll be like, "Oh, I've sent my Warthog to Mars with an astronaut, and it's just a video of this astronaut driving it around Mars."
We're like, wait, Master Chief actually exists now?
Like the Halo music playing in the background.
Literally. But yeah, so that's our news for the week. So very little actual news. Ed bought the only real news.
Yeah, cheers, Ed.
me and Mike just bought shit stories.
Yeah. No, there's some just as a little side, because we're talking about like gaming billionaires or millionaires or billionaires or whatever. I just saw that Jeff Bezos is planning on stepping down like at Amazon. And that came out like yesterday or 2 days ago. And like, you got to imagine you're just that like to think you're just that rich probably that you like you can probably just be like, all right, I have enough money to live probably like 6 different times. Probably don't need to be running Amazon anymore.
It's just like my pockets are too full.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would have stepped down a long time ago. I don't need as much money as he's taken.
I saw this.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it was just a TikTok video, so take it with a pinch of salt. But someone had worked out that if you shared like his wealth through the entire population, like he'd still have like 70 odd billion pounds left over.
Yeah,
God. If he gave everyone like a billion pounds or $1 billion or whatever.
Jeez. And why doesn't he? Please,
because that's not how being rich works. That's not how it works.
It's like, yeah, if you think it's like, if he gives everybody a billion pounds, isn't it just like giving nobody $1 billion? Because then inflation's just going to bump everything up $1 billion.
I'd like to see it happen just to watch the world just like crumble in this like new economy.
Well, we'll finally have that Pokemon £10,000 pedal cycle will finally exist.
Genius.
So anyway, moving on to our second segment, what we've been playing. Ed, do you want to kick us off with what you've been up to recently?
Yeah, for sure. For what I've been playing recently, I mean, as I hit on before, like always playing Smash Brothers Melee because it's just so fun, and I mean, I'm always loved it. It's weird. I'm not playing a lot of like fighting games. I'm not really into fighting games a lot, but Melee has always been a part of my life. But I just actually I finally sprung Xbox Game Pass got me because I have a few friends on Xbox, and it's kind of the only time we get to all meet up and chill in the same party or whatever. And so they finally hooked me in with they're like, you get 3 months for $1. And I was like, that's a deal. So
that is a steal.
Yeah, exactly. Quite the steal for 3 months. I just need to remember to like cancel it at the end. Excuse me, I'm getting the hiccups here, but I think I can fight them off.
I fell into that trap where it's like, oh, it's £1. I'll get that. And then I like downloaded a few games, played them for like 10 minutes each, and then like a couple of months later, I was like, why is some money missing out of my account? Oh yeah, it's Xbox. Thanks.
Yep, that's I had to like mark it on my calendar and be like, all right, this is 3 months of the day.
Yeah.
So I played. It's been interesting. I've been playing Sea of Thieves a little bit. I played that probably the week it dropped and was like, wow, this game needs to be worked on more. And they definitely dropped this early. It sounds pretty familiar. And so I stopped playing it until literally now. I don't even know how long it's been in between then, but I mean, they definitely have added a way more content to it, which is nice. And it definitely is a way more enjoyable experience than it was. It was so empty. Like you could do 3 different things, I think, in it when it first came out, and that was it. So now there's like they've added like little bosses that can attack you. They've added like fishing. They've added all like the quests are way more in depth, and it's like just way more enjoyable. So that's pretty cool. I downloaded Celeste off of that.
I've heard good things about Celeste.
Yeah, me too. And so I'd never played it before, and that's really fun. Just a cool, like, pretty quick moving platformer with like cool little mechanics, like 2D sprite style.
It's a good speedrunning community in Celeste as well.
Oh yeah, that I've seen like the task runs of that game and like the speed. It's just absolutely crazy, like how good and precise you have to be in that game to be a speedrunner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'd say on top of all of that, my last game is because I was actually I go through weird phases of just wanting to play something like really random, and this week it was golf, and I was fiending to play some golf, and I'm not even a really good golfer, but I just like, man, I really want to like play a little bit of golf. So on the Xbox Game Pass, there's like Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour 2015. And me and Maurice, I was like, Maurice, I feel like hitting the links. Do you want to play some Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour 2015 with me?
I mean, I hear that for 2015 is one of the better Rory McIlroy games.
Is that a joke, or are there actually more? So far, just actually a Rory McIlroy like savant.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
I think Cheese would actually be able to tell you the answer to that question.
Yeah, exactly. Right when I asked it, I knew the answer. So I've actually been playing a little bit of golf with him, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I mean, I don't think Maurice has won a game, and my shots are next level.
It's just Molly chipping in. She hates golf.
Does Molly want some of this smoke? Because if she's trying to hit me on Rory McIlroy's 2015, then she can get in line.
I think she'd take you. I think she would. She'd be quick around the course. She's got more.
Yeah,
legs.
Definitely. She'd have me beat there, but
I feel like Shane's just like wrestling the dog to the ground. I'm trying to shut her up.
It's okay. She's shut up now. I'm just staring at her, and she's looking at me as if to say, "The minute you look away, I will bark."
Good on Molly.
Stare. Yeah, looks like you're doing the rest of this podcast staring at her.
Guest appearance from Molly.
Apologies to all the listeners there that just had to deal with her barking.
What I'm going to do is just ramp the audio up in that specific section. So
just to deafen everyone.
Yeah, just for fun.
It's all right. She's gone back. She's gone to lay back down now.
Just on the note of you saying about golf games, I had a stint back when it was Tiger Woods, and oh my god, Molly really hates golf.
Yeah,
really.
It's only right when we're talking about golf.
So when it was Tiger Woods, when he was the front of the PGA Tour games, I played with my brother, and we'd sort of have a competition, like a career, who would do the best, and we'd play against each other daily. And there was a point where I was leading on him, and then I came home from work, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just fire up the golf game, we'll have a few games." And what he'd done while I was away at work, he just give my character just the fattest legs. Just changed his name to Fat Legs. So I was like, cool.
That's low. That's real low.
I like it.
I mean, I had to applaud it because
that
was like, it was unheard of. So, yeah.
Out of
and it probably threw you out for game too.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what year Tiger Woods was this? Is this a strong year, Tiger Woods, or one of the weaker ones?
I mean, they're all pretty strong.
Well, I mean, anything with Tiger Woods.
Yeah. So it's probably I'd say it was in the teens. You know, the good years, the PS2 days.
The PS2 days of Tiger Woods, the strong days.
He's not in. Actually, there's some. I guess there might be some beef because he's not in Rory McIlroy's 2015 because I think it's like weird. Like it's only Rory McIlroy's like license or something like that. So like they didn't, since it's not like PGA Tour. Like they don't have like all the other golfers' licenses.
Oh, okay. It's just Rory.
Like, stay out my
McIlroy,
game,
like,
Tiger.
Only Rory.
Just lots of Rorys. Every character in it is just Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, well, it's
like a universe of Rory McIlroys.
Exactly. It's like, you know, like Halloween Rory McIlroy, like Angry Rory McIlroy, July 4th Rory McIlroy,
Christmas Rory.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's it. And then they weirdly have like a Battlefield 5 soldier as one of the characters you can golf as.
Oh, is that Battlefield Rory McIlroy?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just Rory McIlroy in a Battlefield outfit.
Yeah, that's Rory McIlroy drafted into the like World War II or Vietnam or whatever.
Amazing. So moving on then, should I do mine next, Mike? Can you finish off with your review?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So I'm not, because mine's less around what I've been playing, although I have been playing this a little bit, but I did want to talk about it because of the new stuff that's coming. So I wanted to talk about Destiny 2 this week.
Again?
What? Destiny? It's almost like Mike talks about Skyrim every week.
Oh god, we got some bad blood here that I don't know about.
We do.
Just a Skyrim Destiny beef. It's pretty standard.
Yeah, sounds like you guys need to settle this on Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour 2015.
I think we do.
I'll see you on the green. I'll break out all fat legs.
Bust them out. I can take
coming out of retirement.
Old fat legs versus Battlefield Rory McIlroy. We've got this. Yeah. So I've been dabbling in Destiny 2 this week in preparation for the new season that drops next week. So we've going into the brand new season, which was announced last Tuesday, and it will be dropping the day after this podcast drops. So it's called Season of the Chosen, and the reason I wanted to talk about this one is because there's a lot of changes coming in, which for players like me are exciting changes. For some of the more hardcore players, not so much. So one of the things they're really wanting to come away from, and they want to try and fix, is this the FOMO that Destiny 2 has at the moment. There's always that fear of missing out, and I know, Mike, you've dabbled in it, but there's that, because it's one of those games where you have to do your weekly you've got to do a weekly set amount of stuff every single week to remain viable in the game, to keep leveling up.
Yeah,
and if you miss a week or you miss a couple of weeks, it becomes really difficult to catch up.
I mean, this is the kind of stuff that stops me downloading it again to play it again. So I'm just like, I'm too far behind to catch up now.
Yes,
which is
so weird.
Which is pretty.
It's
the same across most live service games.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating, and because, like, say, if you miss, I know it doesn't take long, but I don't, with working full time, plus we do this, plus all the other stuff I have going on in my life, I don't have time to log into Destiny every single week without fail and put in 3 or 4 hours a week to clear all of the weekly stuff out, to get the best gear, to make sure that I can remain at a viable level. Yeah. Well, what they're doing is they're basically scrapping weeklies. They're getting rid of it. And instead, throughout a season, every single week, you'll get either a new or a selection of new challenges. But those challenges remain in place till the end of the season, so you can do them at any point. There's no need to have to log on weekly now. You can skip 3 or 4 weeks and go back and still have access to the same challenges everyone else has had. But you can just do them in your own time when you're ready and when you see fit. Yeah. Which is a really strong move, in my opinion. It's something that
Is this like a new thing across like live service games, or has this been done before?
I don't know, but this is the new thing that Destiny's bringing in this next season. I don't know if it's been done in other live service games potentially.
Because
I don't play that many live service games, so
Yeah, it seems like the right way to do it, honestly. Like to just because like you know, you're not excluding a lot of your viewer base who isn't able to play every single week. Like I remember Monster Hunter World did something similar in that like they'd have like specific quests popping up in a week that you'd only or like a seasonal event. And
yeah.
as someone who's like a huge completionist, like and you miss out on that, you're like kind of discouraged. You're
it's
like,
so frustrating.
Now I gotta like, yeah, exactly. Like now I've missed out on that, and now some of my buddies have it, and I don't. And
I think I missed out on
anymore.
the Street Fighter thing where you can get the Ryu skin. I missed out on that. I know it was quite early on. I was probably playing.
And then he never played it again.
No, you know what? I poured quite a lot of hours into Monster Hunter.
No, I know you did. It's a great game. But yeah, no, you're right. Like it's that whole from a live service game. How do you please the hardcore fans, but also how do you please the casuals without losing either player base? There's got to be some level of middle ground, and this seems like a reasonable middle ground.
Yeah,
so
I think it's a good mix, smart move. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if the next step, if you want to go even further, maybe you have that, you know, like set date that you can do it until, but then it's like if you complete it all within a certain amount of time, then you get extra loot, like kind of deal.
Like, yeah, potentially there's like things that they can still do to please the hardcores. But I mean, this is going to be the first season that they've run this new method. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out anyway. But they're getting rid of so at the moment you get like loads of different tokens depending on what vendors you do certain tasks for. So if you're doing like strikes, like the PvE stuff, you have to go to one vendor. If you're doing the PvP stuff, you go to a different vendor. And then there's another vendor for guns, and then there's another vendor for the PvE/PvP joint mode. Then there's another vendor for something. There's fucking vendors everywhere. It's very annoying. So they're getting rid of some of those tokens that you receive from those vendors because a lot of those tokens are linked to like the weekly stuff. So they're getting rid of some of that so that it flows a lot better. As well as all that, there's all the normal stuff that comes with a new season. We're getting new strikes, there's a new game mode coming called Battlegrounds, which we're not really sure what that entails yet, but that sounds quite exciting.
Battle Royale mode.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a Battle Royale mode.
Drop on an island.
I mean, potentially. No, it's something to do with it's like a proving ground, and so the story for this season follows the Kabul leader. I can't remember his name. Kalal's daughter, who
Rory
has a name
McIlroy.
that I can't pronounce. It's Caiatl, so Kayatul. I don't know. Anyway, she's a big fucking rhino tusk warlord, and her people were suffering from a disease from another race of aliens, which you've both been fighting both of these races, and you're potentially helping them. / she's also the big bad of this season. So it's her proving grounds that you're going to be using these battlegrounds to battle her greatest warriors and prove yourself to her or some shit. We're not really 100% on that, but it looks interesting anyway. But no, I'm really excited for this next season. There's some really interesting things coming in. There's a thing called the Helm, and I need to just because it's the worst named thing. So part of the Destiny 2 storyline is that in Destiny 1 you had the tower, which was your social space where you went to get all your gear and you could do pick up all your missions and stuff. And then as part of Destiny 2, that social space got destroyed because it got attacked, so it just got fucking destroyed. So you moved to a backup social space, which was a different part of this giant wall that the tower's on, but it's not the tower, but it's still a tower per se. But from there, you can see the old tower. And throughout this season, there's been scaffolding going up around it. So we've been watching as like things have been happening on this on the original tower.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of potential like that we're going back to that tower, which I really fucking hope we are, because I currently hate the social space. Everyone is so spaced out. I have to run so far just to pick up a quest. It's annoying. Yeah. But the new one, so we know that we're getting something. We're getting a war table and what's called the helm. And we think the helm is basically the rebuild of the old tower. And the helm stands for Hub for Emergency Logistics and Maneuvers, which is a shit name.
I thought maybe it was just a cool hat.
No, the Hub for Emergency Logistics. It literally sounds like it's the backup for Amazon. Like Amazon goes
F
down.
Is silent. The F is silent, I presume.
I presume so. But I can just imagine like Amazon going down and they're like, quick, fuck, we need to get Helm on this. Yeah. When they're like...
Call Helm.
But I'm really excited to go back to the tower. If that's what it is, I am very excited for it, because hopefully it means that all the vendors are closer together and I don't have to spend half of my time running around the map trying to find some prick to pick up a fucking quest from.
So would you say this update's a good jumping in point, or?
Yeah, so the way that Destiny's been doing it is that I don't know if it's every season, but there are points where it will automatically buff your level up to a certain point. You won't be in line with everyone, but it puts you in a position where you can catch up with everyone. So I think at the moment it will automatically pull you up to like 1,250 maybe, or 1,200 and something. So you're only within like 100 level of someone else, which doesn't take long to sort of like level that up yourself. It's when you get to the higher ranks that you hit the wall, and then it becomes a lot harder to, because you're in that like grindy bit where you have to just grind in, week out to try and get that little bit of extra level.
Yeah.
But with this new system coming in, arguably I think this is probably the best time to join. No more weeklies, the ability to just kind of jump on as and when you want to and do what you want as and when you want. There's a new, as you know, I've moaned about it before. There's the new power, the stasis power. So, yeah, I think right now is a really good time to join Destiny. Why are you thinking of downloading it and then deleting it again straight away?
I mean, just sort of quickly before we move on, yeah. So I've got Game Pass because it came out of my account. So, I mean, Destiny's on there, so it might be a good little... I might give it a download and just see what it's about again. See what's new.
I mean...
So is it crossplay?
Definitely should.
Like Xbox, PlayStation, is it crossplay?
No, not yet. They are bringing crossplay out this year, but we don't know the time frame for when that's happening.
All right, okay.
So right now, no.
So
it's cross-play, cross-generational, but not cross platform.
Cool. So no, it's staying where it is.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Sorry, I keep having to mute because the dog's being a butthole. So I'm trying to make it so that you don't continue to hear her barking. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to cover this week. So Mike, why don't you move on to your review for the week?
Yeah, so just talking about Game Pass there, this Cyber Shadow is on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And I'd say Camp, it's right up your alley. So it's a very like Ninja Gaiden inspired game. It's like huge influences off that. So it's a side-scrolling action platformer. This really cool like 8-bit style, which I love. Just in games in general, like I'm always drawn to those 8-bit, 16-bit nostalgia like fueled games. It was published by Yacht Club, so it has that sort of
nice.
It has that Shovel Knight pedigree kind of feel to it. Although it doesn't hit the same sort of notes that
Shovel Knight
hits. So yeah, it's up there, but it's not quite the same. So it's also set in like a dystopian future where you're a cyber ninja called Shadow. It's your
Ooh.
yeah. It's. I mean, there's the pretty standard ninja name for a cyber ninja, Shadow or Smoke, isn't it? They're the two.
Yeah, you're right.
They're the two most up there. So yeah, you've got to fight an evil genius who's sent this army of robot ninjas against you, the one robot ninja that apparently didn't get turned.
Like Terminator style.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is it that like 80% of geniuses are evil?
I was thinking the same exact thing when you said that.
It just comes with the territory, doesn't it?
You just get that when you're that much of a genius, you must know something that makes that you're just like, all right, I'm gonna be evil. These guys are ridiculous.
Like you could become so smart, you also just get so sick of people.
Yeah, you realize how terrible some of the world can be. No, actually, Mogar I actually recommended that game to me as well, and I had just it was at Games Done Quick, The Messenger, which looks really similar to it.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, The Messenger is like a really great game, and it hits those similar sort of feels. You jump in, slashing ninja. It's not quite as good as Messenger, I don't think. Like, it does have some down points. Like, the control system is a bit weird and a bit like janky. It doesn't quite sit right in my head. So you'll do like an upwards attack, like you'll unlock this ability as you go through. You unlock like quite a few abilities. That's one specifically I want to talk about soon. That's really great. It's like my favorite part of the game, but you only unlock that ability like later down the line. So when you're attacking upwards, you have to press down and like A, the attack button. I've been playing it on Switch.
Okay.
But so you press down and then you attack up. It just doesn't sit in my mind like right. It's weird. And then later on, you unlock a parry move that you just kind of flick forward into the attack, and it's a bit similar to sort of maybe something like Smash Bros or something like that, the timing wise. But yeah, it just has this weird sort of clunky, weird feel to it. But other than that, like the soundtrack absolutely slaps as well, which is it's so good. It really is.
That's a must for those kind of games. Like you got to have a soundtrack that slaps, or like that's like 50% of the battle lost already.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and it's tough, especially on the Switch. Like if you ever played like, I don't know, if you've gone and played the PlayStation or like Xbox and then gone to the Switch, the like controls already feel like reversed.
Yes, yeah. Like they
feel so weird.
They standardized the buttons like opposite to what the normal console feel is of the buttons. So I've gone from
and then to have it even worse.
I've gone from playing Switch a lot to firing up my Xbox a lot, like for like a long time. I've not played that in a long time, and I'm like pressing X, and it's like like complete opposite. You said completely reversed.
Exactly. That's why, I mean, and I hate to go back. I might as well squeeze it in here, but that's why the GameCube controller will always be, I think, my favorite controller because it's just so distinguishably different than like anything else, but it just still feels so good to me that like I don't know, it's the pinnacle of controllers in my opinion.
The pinnacle of all controllers.
Exactly.
Well, I've been playing with a 8BitDo SNES sort of shape controller with dual analog sticks. I don't know if you've seen those, but they connect to the Switch really well. So it's the exact shape of a SNES controller, which I grew up on. Like that's my childhood right there.
Yeah.
But it's got analog sticks, which is just a great addition. Works really well with the Switch. So I've been playing on that, and that just feels like home to me. That controller, like it's right there. So as well, there's a power up that you get as you hit checkpoints. You can unlock sort of in a shop. You can unlock power ups that continue from that checkpoint. So you unlock them every time you die. You go back to that checkpoint, and if you bought the power up, you get it again. And one of the weapons is a swag blade.
Right. Explain.
So it's essentially just this spinning blade on a bungee rope. So if you jump, it'll like bounce the opposite way and It's like an elastic band, and it throws itself from side to side. I'm making hand gestures here like crazy, but obviously, like we're audio, so you can't see my arms. My arms are just flailing everywhere because that is the weapon.
This it kind of sounds like it would have fit perfectly with my selection of weapons from the last episode.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
The nunchuck guns, the gunchucks.
Yeah, it's
like
it's
that
along
style
line,
of
yeah.
ridiculous weapon.
Yeah, it's just so far from anything ninja that you're just jumping around, like hoping this blade just hits these like enemies.
Yeah, so it's like momentum based, right? Like, so if you jump, then it'll like tail behind you, and then if you fall, then it'll like go in front of you, kind of deal.
Yeah. But it'll bounce around, and as you jump more, trying to dodge stuff, it'll just wipe things out like crazy because you're just jumping and dodging. Because the one thing about this game, it is quite hard. I'm finding it really difficult, but it's not so difficult that I'm just putting it away and I'm just like, nah, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Which is a huge thing for me. Like, I might actually finish this game, which is, something to
That is a
celebrate.
huge thing for him.
Yeah.
Finishing games is hard.
I mean, that's a tightrope that I feel like games, especially if you're going like old school kind of style, like they have to walk of like, all right, people like know that we kind of have to make this difficult, but at the same time, like we need to keep people invested because there's plenty of people who get discouraged.
Yeah, like I'm not sure what it is, whether it's the gameplay loop or whether it's just the challenge itself or the story that's pulling me through. And usually in games it's the story, but this one sort of feels a bit different. I think it's like the gameplay maybe.
Yeah,
it's there, and it's very much like Shovel Knight. And I've re-downloaded Shovel Knight to play again after I've completed this. It's just because they're very similar, and again similar to like The Messenger, like you said, Ed.
Nice. Yeah, definitely have to give it a try. That's two esteemed gaming opinions that have now told me.
What if you were to slap a score on it? What would you be looking at?
It's a 7 out of 10, but it's leaning heavily towards an 8.
Oh,
it's only
heavy
because
lean.
It's a heavy lean.
7.72.
7.9.
It's 7.9 with some fat legs.
Yeah.
It's
tickling that 8.
Oh, he's tickling 8 now. It's getting concerning.
Yeah, it's a heavy lean to a tickle towards the 8.
You have to give this. I feel like it's the sort of game I'd hate, but because of your review, I kind of want to play it.
If you have Game Pass, give it a go. Definitely give it a go. At least get
to my next. Once I'm done Celeste, maybe I'll keep a rotation of like old school platformers.
Stay in that era forever. The forever bubble of the 80s and 90s.
That's basically what I do.
And to be fair, games are always being made that like remember and refashion that era, so you never have to leave it.
No, exactly. You stay in my safe, my safe bubble. Until VR is too scary.
It's until they make that next Banjo game and makes you break your mind again.
I will also say that when Cyber Shadow has been making me so mad that I just want to quit, I just put Banjo-Kazooie on. Or Banjo-Tooie, sorry. I've been playing that again just to calm myself, take me back into myself, into my childhood, and just been romping around as a little handsome little bear.
Yeah, that's just like such a good vibes. Like both those games are just such good vibes games. Like, just like goofy, really cool like songs for each level. Like,
yeah, that like Banjo-Tooie for me is like a 10 out of 10 game. The only down point is something you brought up in a future episode, which I won't spoil. No, we'll spoil.
So you brought up that isn't there yet.
They don't even know exists.
Yeah. You'll see. You'll know what it is.
There's a teaser if you've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Watch episode 21. Also,
I'd only really, and then also the new Resident Evil is what's going to make me actually buy the new generation of consoles too. Like that Demon Souls remake was definitely had me, and also having missed all the generation of good PlayStation games that you guys talk about, but the I mean, I've actually played every single Resident Evil like numerical game and some of the sad ones, and I can't miss. I can't miss the new one. Like I just can't.
Yeah, I know you're a huge Resi fan.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and at 9'6", I don't think anyone can miss her. Taller than my house.
Yeah, it's so all the comics about her just so, like some guy like goes to like run away and then like he just thinks like, oh wait, there's like a large busted vampire woman attacking me and might like crush me. Then he starts running back towards her like.
But just before
So
we go into
good.
our final topic, I do have one question around her that I'm eager for Resident Evil to answer for me, and that is, how big are the doorways?
She in the
Whoa.
trailer she like has to duck down like they show her going through them and like it looks like when Mr. X was like going through the doorways like
Yeah.
whatever he'd have to like hunch down and go through them. It looks like she has to do the same thing.
That's a full swoop for her though. She's like extra 3-4 foot above that door.
But that's,
you have to limbo through.
That's fine for like a regular villager's house, but what about her house? What are the doorways like in her house?
Oh,
she must have a
huge.
home.
I mean, she's a lady, isn't she? So she lives in a manor. And typically, manor doors
big old
pretty
doors.
big. Yeah, big old doors.
Oh, maybe they've just taken out like the floor. So instead of it being a two-floored mansion, it's just a one-floored, like it's a bungalow mansion, but they've taken out that extra floor so that she's got more headroom.
It's just a tall ass mansion, just a tall ass bungalow.
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, that's like the. I mean, if there's as someone who's played them all, like one thing that you can guarantee in any Resident Evil game is that you're gonna end up in like a big old mansion at one point. And so, I mean, they basically have already covered it in this one that you're getting there. So, I mean, they've always got the mystical properties. There's gonna be plenty of puzzles that I don't know who is the designer of these mansions who's just like, I'm gonna put some dope puzzles in this, and they're gonna have to like go around and pick up some colored brooches to put in specific areas, but. They just not, this designer, mansion architect knocks it out of the park every single.
That architect also designing the police station, like
yeah, exactly.
in Raccoon City.
That was his post grad first gig. Like he did some public service that, and then became a freelancer afterwards.
Well, anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
before we get lost into the world of Resident Evil, let's move on to our third section then. So this week, I did head up at the top of the show that this is a topic that's close to our hearts, and it's actually a topic that I brought to Mike as I wanted to do this week. Essentially, my grandfather passed away quite recently, and he was quite a big influence on me. So I wanted to touch on video game influences. Whatever they be, whether it be specific titles, specific developers, or people, relatives in your life that have influenced you as a gamer. So what I'm asking you guys today and what we're going to be talking about is who or what these influences are, how they've influenced you, the story behind that influence, and how you think that's overall changed you as a gamer now. Like, what's that done to make you into the gamer you are now? So, Ed, do you want to start us off?
For sure, yeah. And this is a pretty cool question to reflect on because it had me even remembering different moments of my life that I totally had forgotten about. But I'd give it up. I'd give the place to. I'll try to keep it short because I have three different different people who had influenced me. The first one I definitely will give because it's my first gaming memory in general. To my dad, I would go. So I would go to his house on the weekends, and he had. It was when I was really little, and I know he had an NES and a Super NES. I don't really have memories of him playing it though. But I remember he got the N64 and he was playing. It was Paper Mario 1. And it was the first time I'd ever stayed up past midnight. It was 2 a.m. and yep. I had to have been I think 9 or 8. and I was like, it was so weird for me. I'd always gone to bed at like at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. But my dad was just like, he didn't say like basically he didn't say anything. He just let me sit next to him, and I like until maybe 2 a.m. I watched him play Paper Mario 1, and as he was beating it, and I was like, I mean, I would say like how that changed me. It made me into someone who a night owl. So who just stays up to some ungodly hours of the night playing video games and never knows when to say, all right, this is enough for tonight. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow.
So he influenced you to have an awful sleep pattern.
Yeah, exactly. To this very day. I mean, I just finally started taking melatonin, which has helped, but there are definitely it's so hard for me not to just stay up till, even last night, I will be honest, and I stayed up till maybe like 2:30 a.m. but like just fishing in Sea of Thieves because it was just so enthralling. So
Amazing.
Yeah, I give him that. So I'm actually a triplet, and one of my sisters doesn't care. Like I'd say, actually, I'm a triplet. I have an older sister than we all with my mom, and both my triplet, relatives are both my sisters as well. All of them, so everyone but one in that entire family, like, doesn't care for video games in the slightest. They could be farthest from it. But one of my triplet sisters, she, like, growing up, especially like in the GameCube era where I was playing a lot of like, Zelda and Mario and like all that stuff, and Metroid, where they were all very like, story driven games as well as like kind of adventure-y. Excuse me. She like loved to just watch me, and it was like so great for me because sometimes gaming can be kind of a low, especially at that time where there was no online, like Xbox One. But I guess Xbox One came out and Xbox Live came out like kind of soon after. But I mean, we didn't really have that kind of cash to shell out for Xbox Live every single month.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Almost like
and so I remember actually her watching me play Fable, so that was pretty fun on Xbox. But yeah, it was like she never wanted to play because she said it would scare her. Like sometimes she would try to play Legend of Zelda, but then like she'd end up giving I remember she would always call me whenever she had to fight a boss. She'd be like, "This is too scary. Can you just beat the boss and then I'll play again?" But she honestly would just come over and ask me like, "Hey, when are you going to be playing like Twilight Princess again? When are you?" Because she kept wanting to just watch me play it. And honestly, like, I mean, it was just a really cool bonding experience because of everyone else in the family was like, "Why are you playing these like video games rotting your brain or whatever?" So to have someone be like, "Yeah, I want to see you play them," and just to have that kind of camaraderie was awesome. So I mean, that also how that influenced me, I would say honestly, like it kind of like was the beginning of how I like started to really like streaming, honestly, because it was like
I was just gonna say, like playing to like that one person in your family who was like you're the world's first like Twitch streamer, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Like
that's
like
kind of what it was like in my family as well. Like, yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, exactly. Just having like that person to communicate with, or just who wanted to watch you play and just have fun, like, and just watch the story unfold and your reactions to it. Like, it kind of like it was what sparked that like enjoyment for me, and like how to enjoy like also talking to them while I'm playing. Like, I'd say that definitely was a huge influence for me that way.
But hey, sis, welcome to the camp. You're a junior camper now.
Yeah, she was the first. She was the OG.
She's a senior camper now.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I mean, right when the cabin was made. And then my last one was probably my cousin Tom. And this one I totally didn't remember until I was thinking about this, but he had a PlayStation 1, and it was like basically right when I think even before I got a GameCube. Like it was my first ever console was a PlayStation 1, and it stemmed from going to my godparents' house because they would like watch over us and babysit us. And he's like, I'd probably say like 6 years older than me or something like that, 6 or 7. And he was always they had like this attic in it. It was it's like a duplex kind of outside the city style where everything's really crammed together like in this place, and like all the rooms were really small. And if you went up this tiny staircase, he had like an attic that had no heating or no like cooling. So in the summer it was so hot, and in the winter it was so cold. But he would just sit up there, and he loved horror games. So he would sit up there, like sometimes, most of the time, with the lights completely off, and he would play like all the Resident Evil games and the Silent Hill games, and I remember just going up there. I always wanted to watch him, but it was so scary that like I'd always just go up, and then I'd end up like getting so scared that I'd go down, and then I'd always end up getting him in trouble because they'd be like, "You're scared. Why are you doing? Why are you playing this when Patrick's around? You're scaring him." Like,
you know what?
So,
that's like so relatable to me because just going back to what you said about being like the first kind of Twitch streamer and watching your siblings play. Me and my brother used to share a room, and we had bunk beds, and he'd stay up really late at night. And I was a lot younger. There's about 7 years between us. But I'd have the top bunk, but he'd have the bottom bunk, and he'd sort of have his PlayStation, and he'd be playing like Resident Evil 1 or 2. I can't quite remember. It was the one with the big snake. I sort of remember that. But I used to watch it and like nervously like bite at the like bunk bed bar, which was like made of wood at the time, and it's just like be like so scared like watching this, but because I didn't want to be like the little snitch little brother, I wouldn't say anything to like my mum, so I'd just be there like nervous, like sort of chewing like a little rat at this bunk bed, and there was like teeth marks all the way around it, and it's like the weirdest childhood memory, but that just really sparked it off. Just saying about being so scared that you'd like had to leave, but I had no choice to leave.
No, you couldn't leave. You couldn't escape.
That's it. I was locked in on Resi.
Yeah, it was no, like I remember I would never try it because I would never like telling him, but I would just be scared like when I'd come back, and I'd like either like be crying a little bit or something like that, and then I'd just get him in trouble because I was scared, and they'd be like, "Why are you doing this?" And I would feel so bad.
That's it, yeah.
Also, from their point of view, really fucking dodgy situation there. You've gone up as a child into this dark attic that has no heating and no aircon, and then you come down crying. Like,
Okay.
from the outside.
No, don't.
It's
Don't
a really
slander
dodgy
my
looking
cousin
situation.
Tom's good name.
I'm merely pointing out the perspectives here.
Yeah. No, he was just playing horror games. Like, oh man,
You're watching Resident Evil and you're like, your mum or whatever just hears, or your auntie just hears, "No, cousin Tom, not the snake again."
Yeah. Oh, God, no.
Sorry.
What? Wait a sec. More memories are returning.
No.
It was no, but that got me honestly. That was part of the reason I became a really big horror buff. Like a little bit after that, and like even from a really young age, was watching really scary movies, and that was probably part of it. Like, and I mean, now I've like played all the Resident Evil games, and I think my next on my list would definitely. I really want to play all of the Silent Hill games, but I don't have the means to do so.
Yeah,
they're all on the PlayStation consoles.
Yeah. Yeah. You should play the Alone in the Dark 4. I think it was 4 as well. That's the one that I scared Max with one time, and it was great fun.
I think we talked about this on an earlier episode.
Yeah, we did talk about this on an episode. He used to have an attic bedroom, and I made him shut all of the blackout blinds and put this game on. And that he shut himself to the point that he turned the game off and was like, "No, we're not playing it anymore," and opened all the blinds.
Oh.
I'm sure it was Alone in the Dark 4.
Yeah. I'll give that a try too.
Classic. There's
that's it for me.
Pretty strong influences there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mike, do you want to follow that up?
I mean, just again, for me, it's all about family. Like I grew up in just a household just filled with everyone playing games. Like, especially my mum. She's a huge influence when it comes to gaming. She always had she bought them for me in quotations, but they were because she just wanted to play them. We used to play like so many like games together where either she'd be controlling it or I'd be controlling it, and we'd kind of like figure out these sort of puzzle games. So there was things like Discworld. I don't know if you remember that. There was like I think it was on PC, but they ported it like to PlayStation 1. So it's set in the Discworld world of Terry Pratchett.
The Discworld.
The Discworld world. So yeah, I thought all these Terry Pratchett. Again, another huge thing in our house was like comedy and watching comedians and things. So that sort of humor just really like pulled through. It was just all around our family, like, all of the time. Like growing up watching comedians like Billy Connolly and like these all not specifically gaming, but they had a huge influence on me.
It kind of reminds me of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy too, like that style.
Yeah, kind of like really dry, like super British humor.
Sci-fi, British sci-fi humor.
Yeah. But the Discworld games, like we used to play them all the time. Same with sort of Broken Sword as well.
I'm so happy you have that on your list. I always forget about this game, and I used to play Broken Sword so much as a kid, and no one else had ever bloody played it.
Oh, it's such a good like.
I never even heard of it. Yeah,
it's like a point and click puzzle adventure. I think similar to the way Discworld played. It was exactly the same sort of game. We used to play those, and Monkey Island as well was another good one where you'd find an item and then you'd use it in this random situation that didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
I remember specifically in Monkey Island 2, I think it was, you had this like false skin or something like that, and you had to use it on a manhole. It's like a hole in the ground. You just used it on that. Like that made any sense whatsoever. But then when you did it, it actually did make sense because it used it as like a trampoline and you went through a window. Which, how are you supposed to like figure that out? But like eventually we did, like, and we did it as like a family. Like my sister as well. She like is another huge influence for me. Like we used to just play games together like all the time. I think it started with games like Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Great game.
What a one to start with.
Yeah. One of those games that I convinced my mum was for children, and it's a children's game, even though it has an 18.
It explains a lot about you now.
Yeah.
And then she booted it up and waited 3 seconds and realized it wasn't. When you're like in the bar, like vomiting.
Yeah. But then again, with the humor and like growing up with like comedians like Billy Connolly, like I said, like the humor was just there, and it was always like quite adult and like pretty fucked up for like a 12-year-old. But I thought it was funny at the time. So did she. But playing Conker's Bad Fur Day, and like I'll always like remember this about my sister and playing this Conker's Bad Fur Day on the multiplayer, where it was like a capture the flag, so you'd have one side versus the other, and there was like teddies versus squirrels. So my sister would just wait in the sniper tower and have a sniper rifle and just watch me, and she'd like protect me like a big sister.
Oh, wow.
But we had this one game where she was just on fire. She was just so on point, and she got like 90 something kills, and it was something like 97 kills, and about 95 of them were one-shot headshots. Like she was just so on point, and like from then on, it just grew into this like beautiful relationship where, or beautiful teamwork where she'd be this protector, and I'd just be this fucking idiot that ran in, and it just became this like beautiful synergy of like.
I feel like your video game teamwork almost mimics your life.
I mean, yeah, much my disaster of a life, yeah.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Mike, the idiot that runs in while his sister protects him from all the dangers of the world.
Yep. There was also just off that, it's just sprung this childhood memory where we used to have this back gate to the house that needed a bit of force to get through because there was an old door. And I had this really solid spring lock, and as like a 10, 12-year-old, It was really difficult because I was a little weak boy that never went outside. So I had to pull this spring lock and then barge through the door with my shoulder. But I didn't know there was like a spider's nest just on the door, and I barged it, and then just about 1 billion spiders just came out and like baby spiders just crawled all over me. So that was just
God.
again another instance of me barging into like a shit, and then me just knocking on the front door. I'm like, help! And my sister answered, and I just had to like strip at the front door.
Oh my God!
Like,
I just run to like the shower basically. Like.
Yeah, oh, awful.
Amazing.
But yeah, that was my childhood. But yeah,
Someday some of those spiders still live inside of you to this very day.
Yeah, to this very day.
Yeah.
That's why I still think I've got spider powers.
Just before we move on, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't because I've just been thinking about this now as well. Wasn't Broken Sword like some weird like amalgamation between being a detective and National Treasure?
It was essentially, yeah. It's like you're sort of
you're like solving a murder with historical artifacts.
I'm sure you were like a reporter or something like that, and then there was always these like ancient Egyptian artifacts, like you said, like that just somehow
linked to a murder.
It became like supernatural, and then it's just this crazy adventure that you'd never expect to go on. But that was such a good game. Another game I want to shout out that I played with my mum a lot was Tombi or Tombe.
Yeah, you've mentioned this game before, and I've never heard of it.
Oh, it's so fucking good. You're just this like crazy little wild beast man, and he jumps on the backs of pigs and bites them, and then there's puzzles. So what's not to love?
Was this just your childhood, or is this a game?
It's hard to tell at this point, man.
Yeah. No, all those old point and click games, like even like the Sierra, I think did like it was like Space Quest, King's Quest.
Yeah.
I think and then was it I think it was Double Fine or like LucasArts that would do like the Leisure Suit Larry and
right, and, that's like a different kettle of fish. That's one game I was never allowed. The Leisure Suit Larry.
That's a completely different kettle of fish.
Yeah, that because I think there was Leisure Suit Larry and Monkey Island were the same like developers, I think, right?
Right. Okay. I can't remember the Leisure Suit Larry dev, but I'm sure
wasn't Monkey Island one of the Lucas games?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because there was like there was a whole.
I think it was because Tim Schafer, I think, worked on that, and then he went on to do Double Fine and like Psychonauts and everything.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. A lot.
Yeah. But all right, so Par, what about your influences?
So yeah, I mean, as I said at the sort of top of this segment, mine is mainly a focus on my granddad. So my parents don't give a fuck about gaming, never have, and I don't think they ever will. My dad quite likes the VR, but that's about it. That's as close to gaming as I'm ever going to get him.
Have you not told him about the podcast?
I mean, I have, but honestly, he's got one of those mobile phones that are being developed basically for OAPs that have like massive buttons and they're really simple.
Yeah,
that's the phone he has. Because he can't handle he doesn't have a laptop, he doesn't have an iPad, he doesn't have anything technologically advanced because he just can't understand it. So yeah, that's not happening. My sister, again, she was never that particularly interested in gaming at all. She dabbled in it, but she didn't really care that much. So yeah, I never really had we had the console. We had a few consoles in the house. Like we had a Mega Drive that I played a little bit. And some other.
I just imagine your dad's like, "What is this contraption?"
Yeah, literally. Well, we had this other one. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a proper old school keyboard, like proper like computer keyboard that you put like a tape in it.
Oh,
and that's how you played the game.
I know exactly what that was because I mean, just going back to my mum saying that she had like every console going. It's the ZX Spectrum. Or the Spectrum.
It wasn't because we've got a ZX Spectrum in the attic. Man. I know because I know what a ZX Spectrum looks like because I found one in Lauren's mum's attic once.
Yeah,
she let me have it.
That's how I started gaming as well. Like playing.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing as a ZX Spectrum, but it was like a cheaper version. So yeah, we'd always dabbled in our house, but never particularly got into gaming until my granddad actually picked up. He was the first in my like immediate family to own a PlayStation, and he picked up a PlayStation, and I must have only been about 9 or 10 at the time. And I used to stay at his after school because, well, my parents were working full time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, literally every night, I just used to play games with him.
That's so rare as well. That like a grandparent is like the gaming influence.
More technologically like accepting than like their son.
Yeah, literally. But I mean, and the thing was that he wasn't very good. Like he knew he wasn't very good. And I think one of the biggest things I learned from him is patience, because he used to absolutely love Tomb Raider. Like any game out there, he would play Tomb Raider over and over again. Like he would happily sit there and replay Tomb Raider 1 10 times over picking up a new game that he'd never heard of, because he loved Tomb Raider.
That's cool.
But obviously there are parts of Tomb Raider that involve you having to do like jumping puzzles quite quickly. And he was already like older when he first got into gaming, and obviously he was just getting older and older as he kind of went through the Tomb Raider games. So there were bits that he had to really concentrate to get these jumps down. And honestly, some nights he would spend 3 hours doing the same jump, just trying to do that one little bit.
Oh wow,
I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah, and from that, I mean, as I sort of got better with console gaming and like understanding the buttons a lot, he would often ask me to help him. Like if he spent too long on a jump, he'd be like, "Oh, can you just come do it for me? Because I'm starting to get on my nerves now." But I learned, but that's after he'd spent like about 4 nights.
3 years later, he's like,
yeah, literally, I'd get a phone call from him, being like, "Shane, I've been doing this jump for 4 nights now. Can you come do it for me?" But because awesome, and you've probably seen this, Mike, out of like the group of people that I play games with, out of all of them, I'm the one that rages the least and rage quits the least.
Hang on. What?
I know I get angry, but I never turn the game off.
True. Yeah, I mean, going back to the Star Wars playthrough.
Yeah, I've got so much patience when it comes to games. Yeah, I get angry at them. Who doesn't get angry at games that are annoying? But I very rarely turn them off. And I think I learned that from him, just watching him night in, night out, just trying these Tomb Raider jumps. And then I got a couple of games on my own, and he would let me take my games round after school and play them on his PlayStation 1. And it was great because he used to have one of those proper old school tellies, so it was a really shit setup. It was like an old PlayStation 1 on a really old shitty telly. Not even it wasn't even a telly that was like of the time. It was probably a telly that was 20 years older than it should have been. With this PlayStation that's like forced into the back to make it work.
Yeah, I'm surprised how he was able to like figure that out. Like,
yeah, I mean, crazy. It worked. But literally, his entire catalogue of games was Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3, as and when they came out, because, as I say, he loved them, and the original PlayStation demo disc, and that was it. And that's all we used to play. We used to play Overboard on the demo disc.
Oh my god.
The Spyro demo. That one that was like in a prison, where you were like a escaped convicts, and you had to run around killing everyone.
Was it called like Loaded or Reloaded? Or
Loaded or Fully Loaded or something like that. We used to play that one a lot together, even though he didn't really like playing that one because he thought it was too gory. Oh my god! And he was right; it was pretty gory.
Shout out to fucking demo disc number 1, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, definitely.
And that was really what solidified video gaming for me, was just these like 3 or 4 years, because I never got a PlayStation, the original PSX. I got a PS1, the little mini one, but I didn't get that until 2001, 2002, because like you guys, my parents weren't exactly rolling in money. We had to get them when they like saved up for them. So for the first 4 or 5 years of my PlayStation time was just at Grandad's every evening playing games with him. Really, and that was my genuine biggest interest, influence in gaming, and it's definitely made me calmer, and not calmer. That's the wrong term, because I'm not calm when I game. but it's definitely given me more patience with games.
Yeah.
And it's probably influenced the type of games I like as well, because I tend to focus on single player, those sort of like the Uncharted's. I love the Tomb Raider games,
adventure platformers.
I've played every single Tomb Raider game since those first ones. Like it's almost religious now for me to play a Tomb Raider game when it comes out, because it's just what we used to do. So even when he got to a point where he couldn't play them anymore, it's just automatic for me to buy and play the most recent Tomb Raider. It's kind of like a rite of passage between the two of us now, that I always play the Tomb Raider game, even though he can't anymore.
That's awesome.
But,
that's awesome.
That's my thing. And as I say, that's what I kind of just wanted to talk about that this week, because of obviously him fairly recently passing away from COVID. So it felt like a nice topic for this week for us to talk about.
Yeah,
and
for sure. We kind of struggled with the guest as well this week to fit in with this topic as well. And I thought, Camp, you're like the perfect person for this as well.
Had to scrounge the bottom of the barrel, Yeah, I guess we'll get Camp back on.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing. We were like, yeah, Camp's perfect, but I wasn't expecting you to bring a story about your cousin abusing you in the attic. But
I need to go ask. I need to go talk to some people about that. I'm not sure. Maybe no, it was a scary video game.
No, but yeah, no. I'm glad we got to have this chat about him. I think it's a solid conversation to have, and to all of our listeners, if you've got personal influences or any type of influence, whether it be someone you know or just someone out there in the celebrity world or someone that you watch on YouTube, whoever it is, let us know. Drop us a comment and
give us your stories. Give us your gaming stories. Let us know.
We want to hear your stories. On that, definitely. Then, Mike, do you wanna wrap us up?
Yeah. So just as per usual, it's good to be back in this spot and doing my business at the end of the episode, wrapping up.
Cheese was smashing it last week. So
get him out of your mind. I'm back, baby. So yeah, every Monday, Friday there's a blog. Monday every episode there's an episode. So as we said before, just give us your best moments and comments, and give us your stories. Like, we want to hear from you. That's all we ask. We don't ask for any kind of Patreon subscription tier service or anything like that. Just hit
no
subscribe.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, no OnlyFans, nothing like that.
Well, I mean, that's the negotiable.
But yeah, so you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and as Shane always says, all the good places. So yeah, that's it from us. So goodbye.
Bye.
FB. FB.